A high-profile Central Kentucky murder case is back on track after the suspect was initially ruled incompetent to stand trial. Thomas Birl faces accusations of killing Richmond business owners Christopher and Gracie Hager back in 2021. Now, almost 3 years later, the case against Birl is moving forward once again. WKYT's Phil Pendleton explains what happened to jumpstart that case again.
Thomas Birl had been ruled mentally incompetent to stand trial in the deaths of Christopher and Gracie Hager.
I would consider them pillars of the community. You have two people that were innocently gunned down in the middle of the street for no reason whatsoever, a cowardly act that was committed against them.
Almost 3 years later, amid a lot of legal twists and turns, Birl was re-indicted and then rearraigned on Thursday.
He pleaded not guilty and asked for another status date.
Neither Birl's attorney or the prosecutor was able to talk on camera about the case today, but we do know that at one time Birl was being held in a psychiatric institution, but there was a change in his competency that he is now being held in the Madison County Detention Center, and he will likely face trial sometime in the next year. It's been difficult for many watching the case and wanting it to proceed faster, but another trial date could be close to being announced.
I don't want to rush anything. I know sometimes people want things to move a little faster, but you know, as well as we work with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, we just want to ensure that everything is done correctly.
Richardson says had Birl not been re-indicted, he could have been released from custody. In Madison County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Now, Birl has another court date. It is set for September 12th.